Hi, my name is Linda, and I am going to tackle a tough subject today. It is the abortion debate. I want you to know that I am not taking sides. I'm not here to talk pro-life, pro-choice. I am here to talk about the reality of what it is, especially for those of us who have had to face that decision and have made that choice. It's a tough topic, but I would love for you to listen, whether you're on one side or the other, because I'm going to share some really valuable information that I think is going to help you, to help others, and to help yourself. So the first thing we need to really look at, I think we need systemic change, that everything needs to change if we are going to address this effectively and help those who are facing that decision. But the first thing is, why is it necessary to begin with? Well, there's a lot of reasons why people make this choice. One of them is the fear of rejection. What are people going to say, especially young people? What are my parents going to say? If you're brought up in a religious family where abortion was shunned on, this is just not an option. It's a lot of shame. So rather than facing the shame and the guilt, they go ahead and they have an abortion, thinking that's going to solve the problem. Oftentimes brings on more. But then there is the inconvenience of, I'm not ready for this. This was not in my plan. And how am I going to do this? I'm working, I'm going to school. So inconvenience, I think, is a big thing for people simply because they weren't ready. There is the financial stability. I can't afford it. But I know a lot of people have said, if you wait till you can afford to have a family, you may never have one, because times are tough. And without a doubt, there's sacrifices to be made, and many people just don't feel able or aren't willing to make those sacrifices when they're facing this kind of decision. There's also a concern for many people about deformity. Maybe there's a genetic factor that people are afraid of. Maybe it's people have been doing drugs and they've heard the stories of, oh, if you did this drug or you took this thing, you're going to have a deformed child, and oh, I couldn't deal with that. So that becomes an issue. And then there's the unknown future. What is this going to hold? Is the father of the child going to be supportive? Are they going to be there? Do I even want them to be there? Is this going to be a dangerous situation? And if you're the father of the child, which nobody ever talks about, they talk about a woman's right because it's a woman's body, but it is a man's sperm. And I can't tell you how many men I've worked with that are really struggling with not having a choice in the matter. I've been a counselor for 30 years. I've been dealing with this topic myself since June of 1973, the year that abortion was legalized, and I thought it was a massive tissue. Again, in 1976, kind of in la la land, doing a lot of drugs and alcohol, and it just was an option that I really didn't give much thought about. Talk more about that later. So here's the problem. Planning ahead. Planning ahead is just not happening much. It hasn't for centuries. It hasn't happened, is people planning ahead. Here's the harsh reality, is that if you are not ready to become a parent, then don't have sex. I'm serious. It is the only foolproof way of not having to make the choice of either starting a family, having a child, or choosing abortion. And do you really want to do either of those things? Because if you're not willing to make those choices, then you got to evaluate whether or not that self-gratification of having sex is worth the risk of doing that. Whether you're on birth control or not, I have counseled women and men who have taken head protection, condoms break, who have been on the IUD, people get pregnant anyway, who have been on birth control pill, it fails. So there really is no safe way to prevent getting pregnant. So are you ready? Are you ready to make one of those decisions? So that's part of it. If you aren't ready for that, what are you going to do to prevent it? Some people aren't even on birth control because maybe they're afraid of birth control, but they think abortion is a better option than being on birth control. So, you need to learn some facts about that, which I'm going to share with you in a little bit. Is it worth the risk? So that's your question. The third thing is alcohol and drugs. This is part of why this all happens, because when you're under the influence of alcohol and drugs, no matter what you say, you don't make good decisions. You just can't. It's not your fault. It is the drug that impacts your brain, and your brain is not able to then make decisions that are in your best interest. Just not. That's why we have so many drunk drivings. That's why there's so many rapes, because people do things they normally wouldn't do when they're sober. Men wouldn't take advantage. A lot of men, some might still, but I think there is a lot of men who would never take advantage of a woman if they weren't drunk. And tons of women who would not have sex with this random guy or whoever it might be if they weren't under the influence. So these are, alcohol and drugs can really impact the decision-making process. So again, how do you prevent that? Okay, you don't want to hear any of this, is that going out and getting drunk is a risk. So again, do I want to take the risk of doing something that I may not be in control of? I was raped because I was drunk once. I didn't get pregnant from that rape, but that's what it was. I did not face that. I never talked about it, and actually till last year. Never talked about it until this last year. But that's what it was. I got really drunk. He kept buying me and more and more and more and more, and had to literally practically carry me to the car. I was conscious enough to remember saying no, 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 and that was about it. Things happen. So alcohol and drugs can really bring about some bad decision making. Can you handle, this is number 4, can you handle the emotional and physical implications of this? I'll let you know. I did my master's thesis 30 years ago on the impact of abortion and mental illness, substance abuse, those kinds of things. And Dr. David Reardon is probably the most world-renowned researcher on this topic. He has been researching the impact of abortion on mental health all these years and on other things. Women who have had their first pregnancy aborted by choice were 5 times more likely to have substance abuse issues. Suicide is much higher for women who have had abortions. Mental health issues are a long-term consequence. Dr. Reardon discovered that abortion, the impact of abortion, the depression, doesn't actually kick in until, for a lot of them, 8 years later. Or for myself, for example, when you actually want to start a family and you go to the doctor for the first time to find out, and there's the beating heart at 8-10 weeks. You get to see the ultrasound, and you get to see this little teeny tiny baby, and talk about trauma of, oh my God, this wasn't a mass of tissue. This was a child. So for those who then subsequently have children, the feeling of having your own child that is wanted is overwhelmingly amazing. And then you begin to think, oh, what did I do? What did I do? And that's when a lot of times the guilt, the shame, the remorse, the uncontrollable grief that sets in, because it's not just a matter of victimization or a matter of a medical problem for many people, for the majority of women who have abortion. It is a decision that they made, and it's very traumatizing for many people that they can't get over. And on the rape issue, the one woman that I remember very clearly working with who had been raped, she also was an atheist. Now, being a Christian person who is not one of those Christian people who pick at abortion clinics and say you're murdering your baby, I'm not one of those who run around and shame people and hate people. I am not one of those kind of Christians. I'm the kind that Jesus was, who loves people. So, but this woman was an atheist. So I struggled to fall back on, well, God will forgive you, because she didn't believe in a God, and she could not forgive herself. She said, he raped me. He took something from me I can never get back, but he didn't kill me. I killed my own child. And I'm not saying that just to guilt trip you. I'm just saying that's how she felt. So even with rape, women who have gone through an abortion don't necessarily recover well and go, oh, wow, thank God I had an abortion. I had a previous boss who had posted once on Facebook, women don't want an abortion any more than they want to have wisdom teeth out or a root canal. And I think that's true. I mean, who goes, oh, yay, today I'm going to go have an abortion? I don't think there's anybody. They might be looking forward to that sense of relief and I don't have to worry about this anymore. But there is no happiness about going through that procedure. So that's just another issue. And don't forget about the men. What about the men? I am just really burdened for them. I've worked with a lot of men who are struggling with, hey, it wasn't my choice. I would have raised that child. I would have taken care of it. Please don't do this. So there is that anger that develops, and sometimes abuse happens. Don't you dare kill my baby. It's not just your body, it's my body, and they go through this. But we don't hear a lot about the men and what they're going through. So it's just another thing to think of. My point is, you're not alone. If you've been through this, if you're facing going through this, if you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to heal, please get in touch with me. My passion is to help you with this. If you're caught in alcohol and drugs, if you don't know how to get out of that, I'm an expert. I was a raging alcoholic and drug addict. When I finally realized, oh my God, what have I done? I turned to that to get away from the pain. Many people do, and it took me a long time to get out of that. I almost committed suicide. That's not a solution. There is hope. There is a plan. God can use this like he's using me. It wasn't for naught that I went through that. I would change it. I would do it differently. But I'm here now because I know what it's like and I can relate to you and I can help you. So please reach out. I would love to give you some support. I would love to come and speak. If you are an organization that is interested in sharing the truth and bringing comfort and ministry to people who need help, not judgment, not shame, not guilt tripping, they need love. That's what I'm here for. If you're willing to hear about that and what you can do to help, things like more pregnancy centers, taking people into your home, offering more financial support. There's so many issues. I'm going to do more videos on all of that. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out for my next video. It will be on a different topic that's related to this. What can you do to change what's happening in our society? God bless you.